Keima Katsuragi is famous online for his knack at winning over girls in virtual romance games. But in real life, he's not interested in real girls at all. One day, he accidentally gets roped into a deal with a demon called Elsa de Rux Ima, or Elsie for short. Elsie needs his help to catch evil spirits that have sneaked out of hell and taken refuge in girls' hearts. If they don't succeed, they'll both be in big trouble thanks to magical collars around their necks. Their plan: Keima has to make girls fall head over heels for him to lure out these spirits. Otherwise, they're toast. Their first target is Ayumi Takahara, a classmate gearing up for a big track and field race. Keima decides to support her by displaying encouraging banners with Elsie's magic every day on the school field. Even though Ayumi gets annoyed, Keima's convinced she'll warm up to him eventually. Things get complicated when Ayumi sprains her leg before the race, supposedly by accident. Keima suspects it's not as accidental as it seems. He comforts Ayumi, urging her to believe in herself. In a surprising turn of events, they share a kiss when Ayumi saves Keima from falling downstairs, which kicks out the evil spirit hiding inside her. Ayumi ends up winning the race but loses all memory of Keima. However, she blushes when he congratulates her, leaving him baffled. To add to the confusion, Elsie shows up at their school, claiming to be Keima's sister. Keima feels overwhelmed when Elsie tells him there are lots more runaway spirits in the city. They meet Keima's mom, Mari Katsuragi, and Elsie claims to be the illegitimate daughter of Keima's dad, which makes Mari furious and she argues with Keima's dad over the phone about it. Keima doesn't want to accept Elsie as his sister because she doesn't fit his idea of one. Though when he hears Elsie's story about wanting to be like her successful sister, Hakwa, he reluctantly agrees to see her as his sister. While having lunch at a popular sandwich stall, Keima and Elsie spot their next target, Mio Aoyama, a rich girl who buys all the sandwiches. Keima thinks she's an easy target because she acts like a tsundere, and he figures a love confession might melt her icy attitude. But things go wrong when Mio's chauffeur attacks Keima instead of her accepting his confession. Following Mio home, Keima and Elsie are shocked to find out she's actually poor, living in a rundown apartment. Keima and Elsie find out from Mio's chauffeur that she's not rich anymore since her dad passed away, and her mom is working hard to make ends meet. The chauffeur storms off when Mio won't admit she's not rich anymore. Mio catches Keima snooping around and rushes back home. Keima sees this as a chance to get closer to her since he's the only one who knows her secret. To get close to Mio, Keima starts biking her to school every day in fancy bike carriages made by Elsie's magic. But after a while, he's tired of it, and Mio almost threatens to whip him, which briefly makes her smile before going back to her cold self and heading home. Keima's next move is taking Mio to a fancy ball. She's mad when he brings her to the mansion gardens instead, but he convinces her to teach him how to dance. They run into some snooty people who look down on Mio, but Keima tells her she doesn't need to pretend to be rich anymore to honor her dad. He encourages her to move on and live her own life. He kisses her, and Elsie captures the spirit inside her. The next day, Mio doesn't remember Keima, but she's changed her attitude and accepted her family's situation. She burns incense for her dad but still acts proud. Keima tries to beat the game Crayon and win over the heroine, Sora Asuka. But the game's full of glitches, like one that keeps replaying the same part over and over. Saving the game just makes it crash, and the company that made it went broke, so there's no fixing it. To get around the glitch and finish the game, Keima makes Elsie help him record the choices he makes. At first, Elsie doesn't get why Keima's so serious about a game, but she starts to admire how much he cares about helping the girls in his games like he does in real life. After lots of tries, Keima finally gets past the glitch, and moves on to the next part. But then, he hits another bug, and has to start over, much to Elsie's horror. An article about Crayon hints that someone actually beat the game, suggesting Keima might have done it. Elsie's all excited about a famous teen idol named Kanon Nakogawa, but Keima's not impressed. He thinks real-life idols have too many flaws compared to the heroines in video games. Turns out, Kanon's actually in their class and coming back to school. When she meets Keima on the school roof, she's shocked and upset that he doesn't know who she is. She keeps zapping him with a taser. Elsie senses an evil spirit in Kanon, so she becomes Keima's next target. Kanon's determined to make Keima a fan by giving him a private concert, but Keima ignores her. He thinks it's a trick because he believes guys should chase girls, not the other way around. The next day, Kanon tries again with another concert, but Keima ignores her once more. Kanon starts to disappear right in front of them, leaving Keima and Elsie shocked. Keima and Elsie figure out that Kanon's disappearing act is because of the spirit inside her. Keima stops her from tasing him again by praising her singing. He sends Elsie to dig up more info. They find out Kanon used to be in a pop group called Citron before they broke up. She never sings their songs because she feels like nobody noticed her back then. Kanon sends Keima an email, and he cheers her up at her TV shoot. She keeps emailing him whenever she feels down, wanting him to visit. Their bond grows, and Keima agrees to go to Kanon's big Christmas Eve concert at Narusawa Seaside Hall, where she'll sing in front of 10,000 people. But on the big day, Kanon's missing again, and Keima knows it's time to finish his plan to win her heart. As Kanon gets ready for her concert, she starts worrying she'll mess up and fade into obscurity again, making her turn invisible. She bolts from the stadium, and the backstage crew goes searching for her. As the concert time approaches, Keima finally finds Kanon at a nearby building. He understands why she's afraid of being forgotten, and tells her not to seek attention as proof of being an idol because her hard work to become one was proof enough. With his support and her fans cheering, Kanon kisses Keima, which makes the evil spirit in her leave and gets captured by Elsie. Kanon goes back to the stadium and gets letters of encouragement from her old bandmates, Yuri and Lime. She goes on stage and gives an amazing performance to the big crowd. As Keima and Elsie leave, he tells her his views on idols haven't changed, but he sees Kanon not as just an idol, but as a shining star. One day, Elsie feels upset because Keima called her cooking useless since it had weird ingredients that were still moving. Her friend Chihiro gives her advice on how to impress Keima, so Elsie decides to make him a strawberry cake. But she messes up the recipe and uses weird ingredients from hell instead of normal ones. This causes a lot of accidents, like setting free a mandragon and blowing up the home economics classroom. At the same time, Keima annoys his English teacher, Mr. Kodama, who doesn't like that Keima plays games in class but still gets top scores. They argue during gym class, and Kodama ends up being chased by the mandragon. The mandragon ends up at Keima's house and drops Elsie's cake there. When Keima gets home, he finds the cake and eats it feeling guilty. But his mom, Mari, thinks he's a thief and hits him on the head with a vase. Kodama comes to Keima's house for a meeting with Mari, but he sees the mandragon get eaten by Elsie's lunch, scaring him off. Elsie gets home and promises to make another cake for Keima. But even though he ate the cake, he tells her he doesn't like sweets, which disappoints her. Keima tells Elsie to hit the school library to catch up on modern human history because her knowledge is way outdated. But instead, she gets hooked on a book about fire trucks. When she asks the librarian, Shiori, for more fire truck books, she senses a spirit inside her. Keima joins Elsie at the library, and they're amazed that Shiori found 458 fire truck books. Keima thinks she used the library index, but Shiori actually just remembers all the books she reads. She's too shy to say anything though. The next day, Shiori rearranges the books and talks about her love for them. Keima knows shy librarian types like her are easy to figure out in games, but real life's trickier. When Shiori gets sad about throwing away some books, Keima helps her reach one she can't get to. She tries to thank him but stumbles over her words. Shiori feels embarrassed about what she said and tries to leave, but when Keima makes a comment about books being useless nowadays, she gets angry and bravely calls him stupid before storming off. Keima tells Elsie later that he's purposely making Shiori mad to get her to speak up. It turns out Shiori has been too shy to talk to people normally, so she's been diving into books to make up for it. The next day, the library committee decides to add a media room, and Shiori wants to give her opinion but can't because she's too shy. Later, she catches Keima writing in one of the books, but he says he's just making corrections. He points out that books can't be fixed instantly, which upsets Shiori. The next day, she catches Keima doing it again, but he's scribbling in his own book. This makes her angry and confused, and she starts talking to herself without realizing it until Keima points it out. The day after, Keima introduces himself to Shiori and talks about the library now that she's speaking normally to him. Now that Shiori's opening up, Keima decides it's time to win her heart after finding a notice about getting rid of library books for the media room. Shiori locks herself in the library and blocks the door to stop the committee from getting rid of books for the media room. While the committee tries to get in, Shiori falls asleep and dreams about how her love for books started. She's woken up by Keima, who sneaked in through a hole in the roof made by Elsie's magic. Keima's there to support Shiori in her protest and stays by her side. The committee cuts the power to the library, surprising Shiori and causing books to fall around them. She hugs Keima and tells him he's the only one who understands her love for books and why she's protecting them. But Keima calls her out, saying she's not just protecting books, she's protecting herself from the world. He knows she wants to socialize but is afraid of being misunderstood, so she uses books to escape reality. Shiori is troubled by this, but Keima pulls her out of the book rubble and promises to give her courage. He kisses her, and the evil spirit leaves her body so Elsie can catch it. When the committee comes in, Shiori finally speaks up for herself and explains why she's protesting. They agree to have a meeting about it. In the end, Shiori feels like she's forgotten someone who was there during her protest, so she writes a story about it to remember. Because he's been helping Elsie catch spirits, Keima has a bunch of new games he hasn't played yet. Over the weekend, he plans to blast through all of them by playing 6 games at once in his room. He speeds through them like a pro, making smart choices and enjoying each game, but he gets burnt out later. Elsie's shocked and confused by this and leaves him alone. Keima realizes he can't keep up that pace, so he decides to kick it up a notch and play 24 games at once. After a marathon gaming session, Keima finishes all but one game. He's too tired to go on, but then he starts seeing things. All the game girls he captured are cheering him on. Feeling inspired, he pushes through and finishes the last game. feeling rejuvenated. He imagines himself joining the game world with all the girls, and they sing and dance together. One day, Keima begins to theorize why the evil spirits were drawn to these particular girls. But when he and Elsie are brainstorming, they are attacked by a gang of troublemakers, until a girl named Kusunoki Kasuga steps in to save them. Kusunoki is the sole member of the girls' karate club at their school, and while Kusunoki reprimands Keima for his frailty, Elsie senses a spirit within her. Despite discovering from Elsie that many members of the girls' karate squad had resigned due to Kusunoki's severe demeanor, Keima implores her to take him under her wing to delve deeper into her world. Initially declining, she reluctantly consents, swayed by Keima's handsome appearance. Keima struggles to discern her true nature until he witnesses her affectionately embracing a feline, uncovering her tender side. Blushing and infuriated, Kusunoki attempts to eject the cat from the balcony, but a manifestation of her benevolence materializes and rescues the cat. Keima comprehends that this apparition exposes her gentle side whenever she encounters adorable things. To fully evoke her femininity by engaging in the most feminine activity, Elsie proposes that Kusunoki accompany Keima on a date, much to their chagrin as they reluctantly acquiesce. Kusunoki feels mortified during her outing with Keima but perseveres, hopeful that it will coax out her feminine side. Failing to establish a connection during their rendezvous, Keima and Kusunoki opt to indulge in some ice cream together, deeming it the epitome of romance. After overcoming their initial awkwardness, her feminine aspect finally emerges, and the two engage in a fierce struggle for supremacy. Amidst their clash over the legacy of the family dojo versus embracing womanhood, Keima intervenes, suggesting that they need not choose one over the other, but can embrace both, drawing a parallel to the notion that a cat can embody both cuteness and strength. Kusunoki's feminine side confesses to enjoying her time with Keima despite her initial reluctance. As a parting gesture, her feminine aspect takes control of her body to kiss Keima, culminating in the release of the spirit within her, captured by Elsie. Kusunoki persists in her martial arts pursuits while embracing her femininity. Later, Elsie attempts to elucidate the abilities of the malevolent spirits to Keima. However, she inadvertently becomes ensnared in a spirit-capturing vessel belonging to her comrade and fellow spirit hunter named Hakwadu Lot Herminium. Elsie is thrilled to reunite with her friend Hakwa, a prodigy who once ranked among the top students in their class and now holds the esteemed position of section chief in her department. Hakwa boasts of capturing 10 spirits, though she initially doubts Elsie's claim of having already captured 5. A report surfaces about a spirit running amok in the vicinity, attributed to the failure of another spirit hunter. Keima, aware that Hakwa was the one who failed to contain the spirit, offers to locate it within the school premises in exchange for information about the malevolent spirits. Hakwa elucidates that these spirits are the remnants of demons who were vanquished and sealed away by their righteous counterparts. Despite their imprisonment, these malevolent entities found refuge within the hearts of young girls, prompting spirit hunters to capture them before they can be reborn as demonic entities. Inferring that the spirit thrives on negativity, Keima leads Hakwa to the school theater, renowned as the most dismal locale on campus. Keima decides to defer to Hakwa's expertise, but she confesses to never having captured a spirit, and fabricating her success to save face. Elsie confirms to Hakwa that the spirit has indeed taken residence within the school theater. The spirit has amassed considerable strength by feeding on the negative energies emanating from the unconscious students nearby, subsequently making its way to the rooftop by overtaking these students to obstruct Hakwa and Elsie. Hakwa is overcome with distress as she realizes she has fallen short of her own standards, paving the way for the spirit to take control of her. By the time Keima and Elsie arrive on the rooftop, Hakwa has succumbed to the spirit's influence, using her and the possessed students to ensnare them. The sole means of freeing Hakwa from the spirit's grasp is to quell the turmoil within her own heart. Hakwa is burdened with shame for deceiving Elsie, fearing she has tarnished her image as a role model. Despite her missteps, Elsie embraces Hakwa, continuing to regard her as the epitome of a great spirit hunter. Eventually, Hakwa manages to break free from the spirit's control. She wards off the possessed students, and Elsie successfully captures the malevolent entity. Hakwa expresses gratitude to Keima for his assistance, and for keeping her deception hidden from Elsie earlier. Keima commends Elsie for her stellar performance, prompting her to treat both him and Hakwa to lunch in celebration. Upon discovering there are still 60,000 spirits awaiting capture, before fulfilling his contract, Keima plunges into despondency, exacerbated by the taunts of his upbeat classmate, the jovial Chihiro Kosaka. Later, Elsie detects a nearby spirit, residing within none other than Chihiro herself, much to Keima's dismay. Refusing to aid Elsie this time, Keima argues that Chihiro lacks any discernible unique traits. Nevertheless, they observe Chihiro's confession to a fellow classmate, only to witness her heartbreaking rejection. The following day, Keima endeavors to console Chihiro, only to witness her revert to her former self, disclosing her string of romantic rejections. Keima admonishes Chihiro for trifling with matters of the heart, but she retaliates by pointing out his own fixation on Bishoujo games, striking a nerve within him. Sinking even deeper into despair, Keima isolates himself in his room for days before begrudgingly returning to school, steadfastly avoiding interaction with others. Concerned for his well-being, Ayumi Takahara pays Keima a visit, finding him collapse from malnutrition. Upon learning of their disagreement, Ayumi urges Keima to reconcile with Chihiro. Following a shared lunch, Keima discovers that remnants of affection linger in the hearts of all the girls he has previously assisted. Later, Ayumi orchestrates a ruse, persuading both Keima and Chihiro to undertake cleaning duties together, during which Chihiro expresses genuine remorse for her earlier slight against him. Keima stumbles upon the revelation that Chihiro now harbors feelings for a boy named Yuta by happenstance. Recognizing Chihiro's lackadaisical approach to love, she implores Keima to impart some tactics to win over her newfound crush. The next morning, Elsie subtly hints to Keima that he could indirectly fill the void in Chihiro's heart by aiding her, without direct involvement. Encouraged by this insight, Keima gathers intel on Yuta and devises a plan to help Chihiro make a memorable impression on him. As Keima lays out his final strategy to assist Chihiro in confessing to Yuta the following day, Chihiro begins to take a keen interest in him. As Keima readies Chihiro for her impending confession to Yuta, Chihiro begins to experience doubts, and realizes her growing affection for Keima, prompting her to call off the confession. However, Keima is frustrated that his meticulous preparations have been in vain. Chihiro departs, lamenting that she will never stand out like the other girls. Recognizing his oversight in neglecting Chihiro's emotions, while fixating solely on the confession, Keima resolves to mend their relationship to capture her heart. Tracking down Chihiro aboard a ship, she admits to developing feelings for him due to their shared disillusionment with the real world. Keima clarifies that he has never lost faith in himself despite his disdain for reality, urging Chihiro to adopt a similar mindset. When Chihiro protests, believing herself to be too ordinary to be special, Keima surprises her with a kiss and asserts that as long as she desires it sincerely, nothing can hinder her from becoming extraordinary. This action expels the spirit from Chihiro, allowing Elsie to capture it. With the malevolent entity vanquished, Chihiro undergoes a transformation, exuding newfound cheerfulness and confidence, inspired to embark on her own musical journey by forming a rock band. Meanwhile, Keima begins to reevaluate his existence after reminiscing about the girls he had previously assisted. Keima discovers that a rare first edition of a Bishoujo game named Love Tears will be available for sale in a neighboring town. The following morning, he sets out on the journey with Elsie in tow. En route, Keima enlightens Elsie about the rich history of Bishoujo games and elucidates the distinctions between various editions of the same title. Entrusting Elsie with the task of procuring the game, Keima himself heads to a gaming expo. Upon locating the game, Elsie is confronted with 3 different editions of Love Tears and astutely selects the priciest one. However, she mistakenly purchases the anime adaptation of Love Tears instead, a blunder anticipated by Keima, who had secured the game at the expo just in case. Later, Aqua pays a visit to the Katsuragi household, seeking their assistance with a report concerning the apprehension of the spirit that thrived on negative emotions at the academy. Employing a magical scale model of the school, complete with autonomous dolls representing them and the students, Aqua and Keima collaborate to compile the report. However, Aqua deliberately distorts the sequence of events upon their arrival at the theater, falsely claiming that Keima clung to her instead. In a bid to safeguard her version of events, Aqua destroys the microphone controlling the dolls, preventing Keima from altering her narrative. Prior to their encounter, Aqua had already fabricated a report alleging that Keima had harassed her during the incident, a falsehood depicted by their respective doll counterparts. Misinterpreting the situation, Elsie becomes incensed and joins Aqua in attacking Keima. Amidst the chaos, the dolls are inadvertently set loose. Once order is restored and the dolls recovered, Aqua expresses gratitude for their assistance, though Elsie harbors suspicions regarding Aqua's true motives for visiting Keima. Jun Nages, characterized by her idealism and buoyant demeanor, assumes the role of a new student teacher for Yuri Niketo's class. Initially taken aback by the apparent indifference towards Keima's gaming antics during class, Jun begins to view him as a troublemaker, influenced by the accounts of her fellow educators detailing their own frustrations with him. Despite her initial trepidation, she attempts to engage Keima in conversation about his behavior, only to retreat in fear. However, her resolve to assist him inadvertently invites a malevolent spirit into her body. Upon learning of Jun's predicament, Keima realizes that she presents a formidable challenge, given the ethical complexities of a teacher-student dynamic. Aware that a genuine romantic connection between a teacher and student necessitates a perception of equality, Keima departs the campus to devise a strategy. Meanwhile, Jun spots Keima and assumes he is skipping school. Taking matters into her own hands, she persuades him to join her for lunch, offering a sympathetic ear to his presumed troubles. However, Keima finds himself perturbed by this unexpected turn of events, realizing that capturing Jun's heart may prove to be a protracted endeavor. Keima concocts a scheme to expedite his bond with Jun by attempting to provoke her irritation, and subsequently transmute it into affection. However, this strategy misfires, amplifying her apprehension for his well-being. Upon finally securing a private moment with him in class, Jun shares her belief that Keima employs video games as a means of evading reality, prompting him to reproach her for imposing her own judgments upon him. Left with no alternative, and a need for a new approach, Keima beseeches Neko for additional insights into Jun's background, striking a deal to assist her with schoolwork in exchange for information. Meanwhile, still reeling from Keima's earlier rebuke, Jun resolves to aid her classmates with their studies following Akira Kodama's disparaging remarks branding them as underachievers. However, when the students confess their lack of motivation to improve, a frustrated Jun inadvertently scolds them before abruptly exiting the classroom. Subsequently, Keima discovers that both Jun and Neko were former members of the girls' basketball team, which disbanded following a past incident. Jun heads to a professional wrestling match only to find Keima occupying her seat, courtesy of Elsie discreetly duplicating her ticket. Consequently, she is compelled to sit alongside him throughout the event. Perplexed by her students' rejection of her assistance, Keima inquires about the dissolution of the girls' basketball team during Jun's tenure as captain. He posits that her egocentric idealism drove her teammates away, despite her assertion of prioritizing teamwork refinement. Incensed by his assertions, Jun storms out of the stadium in a fit of anger. The following day, Jun initiates a classroom marathon race in a bid to foster camaraderie among her students. However, feeling overwhelmed by the pressure, the students falter, prompting Jun to flee after berating them as selfish. Suddenly, Keima interjects, addressing their behavior before vanishing from the classroom without warning. Discovering Jun at the abandoned girls' basketball team locker room, Keima confronts her for persisting in her old ways since the team's dissolution. Leading her to the school gymnasium, Keima offers words of solace and encouragement, urging her to persevere and endeavor to garner acceptance for her ideals among her students. Jun's spirits lift when the entire class seeks her out to extend their apologies, much to her delight. Unbeknownst to Jun, Keima had orchestrated the sequence of events deliberately, engineering a scenario where the students would grow to dislike him before expressing concern for her. As Jun's internship draws to a close, Keima implores her to return to the school someday, to which Jun pledges to evolve into a more adept educator by then. In a poignant moment, she kisses him, thereby expelling the malevolent spirit dwelling within her. Despite its lackluster character design, Keima indulges in playing a bishoujo game titled One Leaf, swiftly developing an infatuation with the game's heroine, Yotsuba Sugimoto, whom he perceives as his ideal virtual companion. So enamored is Keima with the game that he opts to savor it at a leisurely pace, disregarding all else throughout the day, much to Elsie's frustration and Haku's bewilderment. Later that evening, Keima receives an email from the game studio behind One Leaf, seeking his assistance in developing a new bishoujo game under his creative direction. As Keima contemplates ideas for the game, his inner thoughts engage in a spirited debate over the concept of perfection and idealism. However, the internal discord comes to an abrupt halt when they collectively recall the significance of bishoujo games in their lives. With this realization in mind, Keima contacts the game studio, instructing them to focus on creating a high-quality game. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.